everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, and welcome to your 5th session of the Lawn Gnome's Guide to a Thesis project or paper. I'm hoping that you all enjoyed your break, but now it's time to get back to where we've left off. So, when we left off, we were talking about putting a whole paper together. So by now, you should have a paper. It should be within the page requirements, minus all of the additional stuff that your professor or teacher may want you to have, which is things like bibliography, table of contents, and a cover page. So now it comes to the time that everyone needs to take into account a little more seriously, and that is the revisional process. So today we're going to talk about the rough draft, the smooth draft, and the final draft. The first tip that you need to understand is take your time and focus. It's very, very difficult, so remember to have that glass of water by your side to prevent yourself from having any distractions. All you have to do is just take a bit of time out of your schedule, and of course that's when I refer back to that calendar. You see how everything is coming into play based on everything that we've discussed in the past 4 videos? So, with all of that in mind, just block off some time. Make it 2 hours, make it 3 hours, heck, if you really feel you need the extra time, make it 4 hours. But that whole block of time does not necessarily have to be used, depending on how much you get done. And all you have to do is just go paragraph by paragraph. Take a look at the spaces between words, take a look and see if anything needs an additional comma, or a period, or maybe there's a citation that you may have forgotten, and just make sure that you are able to scour through your entire paper, and just make sure that you understand what you're reading, because if you don't understand what you're reading, your professor or your teacher is not going to understand what you are trying to say. And believe me, it took me a little bit of time to finally put together a conclusion on my specific thesis. I was just trying to figure it out, and there were just words that were not clicking, so I think I may have spent about 25 minutes to a half an hour just trying to type that conclusion and make it presentable. But it was good. I still feel that it needs a little bit of work, but that's where the revision is all about. Another tip that I would say is if you're alone by yourself, read each paragraph out loud, as if you were presenting it to a class or a group of people in an auditorium. That way you can make sure, while you are reading that it all makes sense. A perfect example outside of putting together something like a paper is my Gnome docs. When I actually have to record my monologue, if a word or a sentence just doesn't make sense, I have to go back in there and re-record, and more importantly, go back to the script and revise it to make it sound good. After you've done all that, just send it on out and wait for feedback, and once again, do not be worried about taking constructive criticism. Then comes the smooth draft. This is where you bring all of your feedback and comments that you have received from your professor or teacher and use them to your advantage. Don't be ashamed if you have to reread some articles to put together some additional facts that make sense and need to be included in your paper. Again, constructive criticism is important, and always understanding that you now know that you have the potential to make a better paper that's going to give you a better grade. And then you've got the final draft, and that is basically the final paper that will receive the final grade. The best advice that I can give you in regards to that is do what you have done for the rough draft and the smooth draft, and then ask for help. Go to a family member, or your husband or wife. Go to one of your kids if you've got one that you feel is better at spelling and grammar than you. Or go to your own parents or a good friend that you know is good at spelling and grammar. Some people are even going to be willing to tell you, if you need some help, please send me your paper and I'll look it over and I'll give you comments. Don't be ashamed to ask for that help, because it really can prove beneficial to you. And again, constructive criticism, additional help, comments, feedback, it's all advantageous to you to get that good grade. And that's where we're going to leave it off for now, everybody. We're then going to go into the final session next time, and that is where we are going to conclude this 6-video series session. So in the final session, we are going to talk about the PowerPoint presentation, if there is in fact one that needs to be brought to the class. I have one, so of course we're going to talk about it. And I'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.